This season of the Total Mind BS podcast, we have been focusing on demystifying somatic healing. Like, what even is that? And it turns out somatic healing or embodiment practices can help with like everything from generating wealth to improving your happiness to managing your weight and even training your dog. We have had experts in all of those areas. So cool. So today we are learning how embodiment practices can allow you to tap into your sexual energy so that you can enjoy, quote unquote, earth-shattering lovemaking. Yes, please. And that is a quote according to women's health specialist and sacred sexuality teacher, Satya Lila. Let's see what she has to say. Hey, let's make nurturing your own needs part of being a good parent. And that voice that says you have to wait till the kids are all grown up to even have needs of your own is total mind BS. Number one thing you're hoping that the people will get out of this talk today?
I would like people to get how valuable sexual energy is for recharging your body, to recharge your energy, to recharge your vitality, your aliveness, to give you that zing in your step, walking down the street, swishing your skirts if you're a skirt wearer. So it's an amazing resource, and there are ways to find it again if you've lost it.
Yeah, so tell me about your journey a little bit. How did you figure out that this will rekindle that vitality?
I was in a relationship when I was in my early 30s. My partner, he was very intimidated by my sexual energy, and he made me wrong for it. And I tried to dampen it down in order to make him more comfortable, which is a really bad decision. I don't recommend that decision. And we went to a sacred sexuality workshop to try to find a way to connect with each other. And the workshop was very helpful in the moment. We had an opening, and we had a really beautiful, sweet, soft, loving, sensual, sexual connection that was really lovely. But I think it scared him because he never wanted to do any of the practices after that, and he wouldn't go back to any other workshops. And so we kind of just struggled along in misery for another year or so. And then we both were so miserable that we mutually agreed that it wasn't right for us to be together. So we separated without hard feelings. We were both really kind of relieved to not be in that struggle anymore. But I found, as I was starting to get back into dating and I was in a casual rebound kind of relationship, I found that things were starting to get a little more physical, and I got scared. Which was completely different than how I'd ever been in the past. Sex was always an area that I felt really confident in, but I didn't feel confident anymore. I felt scared. I felt like, oh my God, is my body going to work? Do I know what to do anymore? Am I going to be able to connect with this person? And I just, right then and there, I made a promise to myself that I would never let myself get to that place again, that I would never shut down my energy for another person. It's too disempowering to do that. And so I actually started going back to the sacred sexuality workshops on my own. And I started learning practices to help open up the sexual energy and distribute it all through the body, up the spine, and run energy so that my whole body is tingling and alive and ecstatic. And I started attracting partners who were meeting that, who were on a whole different level than I had ever been before. Uh, Instead of saying you're too much, they would say things like, "Is there more? Come on, you've got a little more. I know you do." Which is
Wow.
like a lovely thing to say. It's a
Hmm.
lovely thing to hear. I mean, it's just, it was especially coming from you're too much to find, wanting more, and I, I, I found that I was alive again. I was vital. I had energy. I had this like sparkle in my eyes and this little secret smile going on. And it was because I was running so much sexual energy. And it really changed my life so much that I got into learning how to teach sacred sexuality. And then I've been teaching for about 30 years now. And it's so rewarding to turn people on to this kind of,
No pun intended.
yeah, definitely. No, the pun was intended.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm super curious. So you started out with this high sexual energy. Have you
Hmm.
worked with people who are the opposite, where they're
Yeah.
struggling to bring out that sexual energy to meet their partner's energy? And what does that look like?
Yeah, I have many times actually. And a lot of it is giving permission, because we live in such a culture that is so sex negative. I mean, there's these mixed messages of sex as a ugly, repugnant piece of work that should be only reserved for the bounds of holy matrimony. That was a cartoon I saw once by Matt Groening. It totally describes our attitude towards sex. It's like, and with growing up in a environment, even if you don't have personal trauma, there's trauma and shame from just being in this environment that we have where sex is so shamed and so forbidden. And yet you're supposed to also at the same time magically know how to be sexual and know what your body wants. And, it's just a big mess. So a lot of it is educating people to learn what their body likes because there's a really wide range of what people like. Some people like really, really firm, vigorous touch, and some people like touch that's like an inch away from the body, and I'm one of those.
Oh, interesting. I wouldn't even call that touch. So it's interesting to
Yeah,
explore that.
it's
Yeah.
it's working with the energies, sending the energy through your fingertips into another person's body. So there's lots of art in pleasuring and touching, and so learning about that, learning what you like and what your partner likes, which may be different, and finding a way to make that compatible is one part of it, and also just shifting the attitudes. Some people, you know, like I'll do things like somebody will say, "I had a I had a sexual connection with my partner last night," and if I'm in a private session with them, I'll say, "Yay, yay for you, good, yay," you know, and celebrating and just putting in a different context. So it is something to be celebrated and something to be honored and as a sacred act, which it is. It is
Yeah,
very sacred.
absolutely. It sounds
Yeah.
very much like the concept of finding yourself just in this particular area.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us more about this embodiment practices that helped you feel that energy and raise your vibration into that place where you just felt so amazing.
It is basically working with breath. Breath is the key. Breath is like the unlocking of the energy. Breath and movement. So what I teach is ways of breathing so that the sexual energy, which normally stays focused in the pelvis, it's kind of a natural instinct when you're getting aroused. Most people tighten up the belly, the butt, the legs, and that's like everything around the pelvis gets tight, and it focuses all the energy into the pelvis, and it makes it get really bigger there, but it doesn't let it spread throughout the rest of the body. So relaxing those muscles and breathing and imagining the energy is moving up the spine with spinal movements, which it's a little complicated to go into it here, but basically it's ways of moving and breathing that help the energy flow up the spine, up through the neck, up through the top of the head. And there are energy centers located along the spine that have different functions, different kind of qualities. Like here is one called the third eye, where it's about visioning, it's about intuition. So you can direct the energy to that visioning place to energize a vision. You can direct it to your heart to make you be in love more. That's a wonderful practice for a couple to do together. When you're getting close to orgasm, you can slow down and stay in stillness and take a breath. Each of you take a breath up to your heart and hold the breath and hold the energy in your heart and imagine your hearts are connecting. That's a really sweet, sweet practice to do. And it just makes more love. They call it lovemaking for a reason.
Yeah, that sounds powerful.
It
Absolutely.
is. It is. But that energy moving through the spine activates the whole body, so that when it takes longer for the energy to build up, because you're putting it into a bigger area of your body, and you're putting it into your whole body instead of just into your pelvis. But when it does build up, it creates a really big charge of energy, and the orgasm that comes from that is what's called a full body orgasm, which spreads out to every part of your body. And if you can stay relaxed during that full body orgasm, you can stay in that orgasmic energy for a long time, like half an hour, 45 minutes. And this is true for men and for women. This is men don't have to have that little pop and drop.
Wow. I mean, this sounds phenomenal to every aspect of my life. My question is, if you've got one partner who's willing to explore this, willing to go to workshops such as you described, and one
Uh-huh.
partner who's not interested in doing that,
hmm
can that one partner who's interested in doing the work still elevate that partnership?
Yes. I have done that with partners who were somewhat open to it, but especially after I became a teacher, I didn't teach within a relationship. That's not a good dynamic to have, and it sets up a lot of resistance in the already resistant partner to try to teach them, because there's a lot of self-esteem involved in being a good lover. And if you're basically saying, I want you to be different as a lover, a lot of people can get really triggered. Oh, well, what, am I not good enough now? So, really focusing on what you like about your lovemaking and acknowledging in that. After a really great lovemaking session in the beginning stages of a relationship, I will say things like, "Oh, I really liked it when you did that," or even it doesn't have to be in the beginning stages. It can be anywhere in the relationship. People respond really well when you tell them exactly what you like, and they want to do more of it usually if they're at all interested in pleasing you. Then they'll if the positive reinforcement is much more effective than the negative reinforcement of, I didn't like it when you did this. that's kind of demoralizing. So staying with the positive is really good. And also, if you are learning different practices yourself, there is an energetic transmission that can start happening as you start mastering it, just by your bodies being close together. And if you learn to go into more of a full body orgasm, or even just running energy with your whole body, their body's going to pick up on what your body is doing. And there'll be a nonverbal transmission that is quite powerful. And it's enough to wake somebody up and go, wow, this is different. What's happening? Why, how is this going happening? And how can I have some too? Yeah.
Absolutely. And so you alluded to this earlier, but I'm very curious about the ripple effect into the rest of your life. As
Uh-huh.
you're coming to the center of you, as you're, empowering yourself sexually, did you notice any ripples into, your career, other relationships, that sort of thing?
Yes, I felt more deserving in all those areas. I felt more deserving in relationships. I felt like a queen. I attracted men. I'm mostly with men, so I attracted men that treated me like a queen, that treated me with honoring and respect and worship. One of the things I learned as I was learning sacred sexuality, that there's a one of the teachings is that women are the portal and to ecstatic awakening, that we have the ability to go much higher than men do naturally. So it's the men's role to help the woman get to this open place, and then she can take him with her once she goes. So it's a whole different philosophy where the feminine is honored in a really deep and beautiful way, but as a gateway to the divine. And so I attracted men who were in of that philosophy. So I had a rocking good time, and I still do.
Amazing. Now,
Yeah,
if people want to get started in this, do you have any resources to help them figure out their sacred sexuality?
I do. I have a couple of things on my website, which is satyalila.info, and I have some free gifts. One is a PDF file that describes steps you can take to do what I call a connection ceremony, where you're creating a space, a sacred space for connection with each other. I also have a couple of guided audio recordings that guide you into a deeper connection, a deeper intimacy through breathing and looking into each other's eyes. And it just, they're short video audios. They're maybe 5 or 7 minutes long, and they're just a beautiful way to start out a connection. So, so those are my gifts to people. And I also offer, if you feel really serious about getting into learning more about this work, I offer a free sexual communion gateway session, which is a 30 to 45 to hour minute long phone session where I will help you explore what your challenges are and help you figure out what it is you'd like different, and give you my best recommendations on how to get there. And it's no pressure, it's no hard sell, it's just my sincere desire to have everybody be as delighted as I am in my life.
Well said. So I will drop all of Satya's links in the description so that you can find all of these amazing freebies, book a session with her. Thank you so much for being here today. If,
Oh, my pleasure.
yeah, before we sign off, Is there any last things that you would like to tell our audience?
Don't give up. This magic is within you, and it may have been buried your whole life, but it doesn't mean that it can't be unearthed. So I invite you, if it calls to you, I would be delighted to support you in unearthing this magic energy that brings so much to so many people. And it
Yeah,
can
it's
to
such an
you.
intense energy to tap into. So
It
I can
is.
imagine it being just transformative.
It is. It is
Yeah,
indeed. Yeah.
wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. And
My pleasure.
I hope that this has been really eye-opening for some of our audience members. So thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Hit subscribe and let's see if we can make life balance the norm. Sexual healing.
Yeah.
Did you know that Satya offers group programs for women and couples so that we can up-level our intimacy and increase physical and emotional energy? You can find more info on her website, satyalila.info, or check out the links in the description.